Okay, so this sequence was born out of a challenge that I gave myself, where I had to create a sequence, an integer sequence that followed a specific set of rules. So let's go to the rules, and let's see what they are. So the first rule was that it had to be infinite. That's just kind of an obvious one. Right, it cannot terminate after some number of terms. It has to keep going forever. It also can't repeat, which is a little bit different, and I don't really know how to describe this mathematically. But, you know, it doesn't repeat. Must be in the lowest base possible and only be single digits. So base 2 is actually impossible because of the next rule. So base 3 is what the sequence is in. It's not like really base 3, but it is. It's 1 2 3. It's 3. There's 3 of them. It's just not the traditional base 3 where you have 0 1 2, but I just thought 1 2 3 looked a little better. That's all. Then the last rule, the entire sequence must satisfy t of n does not equal t of n plus 1. And all that is it's just, you can't have 2 in a row, essentially. So you can't have 2 1s in a row. You can't have 2 2s in a row. And of course you can't have 2 3s in a row. So this is the sequence that I eventually came up with. This sequence follows all the rules, and it's very interesting. It's actually not in the OEIS. It's not in the online encyclopedia of integer sequences, which is very interesting because usually they are. Like when you find a sequence, it's already there, but this one isn't. I even checked different versions of it. It's just not there. Just couldn't find it. Anyways, let's go into how you create the sequence. So if you have a 1, it goes to a 2. If you have a 2, it goes to a 3. And then a 3 just goes back to a 1. This is just an important transformation that will be important later on. So let's say we start with this, with these 4 digits, or you know, terms, whatever. 1 2 3 2. Well, let's just make a copy of that. So let's just literally slide it over, but now we have 2 of them. And then we're gonna write it backwards. So now we have 2 3 2 1. And then we're going to apply that transformation, which is the 2 here goes to a 3, this 3 goes to a 1, 2 goes to a 3, 1 goes to a 2, and then we end up with this over here. Now we're going to take our final product, we're just going to add it onto our original sequence. So now this is our new sequence on the top, and we can repeat this process now infinitely many times, so the sequence will double in length after each iteration. Alright, so now let's actually generate the sequence. So the sequence just starts with a 1 because that's the lowest and the simplest, so we just start with a 1. That's a good starting point, and we apply all the entire transformation. That just gives you a 2, right? Because there's just one digit, just gonna give you a 2. So now we have 1 2, right? So we do the same thing. Well, we have to write it backwards, then change all the digits accordingly. So now this is our new sequence. We do it again, we get that, we do it again. Now this is our new sequence. And yeah, you can keep doing that infinitely. This is the sequence up to like 50, 100 digits or something, I don't know. But this sequence does follow all the rules. I'll try and explain them a little bit. So it is obviously infinite. That's not hard to see. You can just keep repeating the process as many times as you want. You'll never run out, right? And it doesn't repeat. How do we know it doesn't repeat? Well, we know that after each iteration, you can cut the sequence in half, because it doubles every time, so it will be even. So you can cut it in half, and both halves will be very different from each other. It's significantly different. All they have to be is a little bit different, but each half will always be different after every iteration. So it's basically impossible for this sequence to repeat. And I mean, it's always going to be in base 3, because we know a 3 just goes to a 2, or no, a 3 goes to a 1, right? So there's never going to be a 4, because everything is just going to be trapped in the 1, 2, 3 loop. The sequence also does not have 2 in a row ever, or it follows t of n does not equal t of n plus 1. There will never be 2 in a row. And how do we know that? Well, because after every iteration, or rather before another iteration, we know that the last term will become the first term, I guess, of the new sequence. Not really, but yeah, and then the digits will change, so you'll never have 2 in a row. That was a pretty bad explanation, but maybe you understand what I mean. Anyways, that's the sequence. I don't know why this had to be a 7-minute and 40-second video, but whatever.